Our next speaker is Mr. Sunil Gupta, President of Fuji Xerox Asia Pacific. Now, among Mr. Gupta's many skill sets are the building and leading of high-performance organization. As someone from industry, Mr. Gupta will share with us ideas on how education can play a role in moving us from the development of hard skills to soft skills to what is now referred to as green skills. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Gupta.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Dr. Paul, for providing this forum in line with the Malaysian culture. Great food, that is great food for thought that you have all given us this afternoon. What I'm going to talk about, I feel somewhat uncomfortable amongst this group of experts and specialists, if you will, because you've been in this industry, the industry called education, and you've talked about this subject very eloquently. I'm truly impressed. But what you're going to hear from me is from a student's perspective, an observer's perspective, and from the industry perspective, what education can do going forward. As has been said by many of the presenters, learning is what it is all about. Whether you're teaching or you're learning, it is about learning. And learning has become more important for human beings than air, water, food itself, etc. And I personally feel that way, so thank you for the forum that you have provided for learning. As Dr. Paul said, life has become very complex. Uncertainty is all around us. This uncertainty has been created by nothing other than technology and globalization. So as I thought about the subject for today's discussion, I thought first about technology, because that's really the impetus of all of this. Then I thought about maybe innovation that can change the course that we are on. Then I thought about entrepreneurship or the various different topics that we can talk about in education, the hardcore finance, marketing, etc. But I thought about something that is becoming more time urgent, more important to all of us. It is truly about our lives, the lives that we live, how we live it, and what our future generations are going to be faced with. And that topic is called sustainability. So what I'm going to talk about is what exactly is this term sustainability? What are the trends and practices prevalent in this area? And most importantly, the role education and educators can play in basically solving this dilemma that we face in the human race. As you all know, the Industrial Revolution and others, I call it in friendly term, a blue-collar age. We have gone through a blue-collar age in our recent lives. We have gone through the Wall Street or the stock market and the financial age, if you will, the white-collar age. We are headed now to what I would like to see a green-collar age, essentially a more focus on not the financial part of the business, not the output part of the business, but where we really live, the ecology. Therefore, the topic of my discussion today is sustainability. Sustainability not by itself, but sustainability and its role in education. So let me first take the opportunity to define the term, because there are lots of terms floating around: CSR, CR, ESG, GRC, CRE, all kinds of terms around this subject. A lot of people confuse it as a single-minded term which is focused on planting more trees and saving our water streams and others. Sustainability has been best defined in the Brundtland definition, which is essentially linking the development of today, what we do today, which does not compromise the future of our generations for them to be able to meet their own needs. This is really the best short definition of sustainability I have seen. In simpler terms, sustainability is really that bridge that links today's beautiful environment that we live in and allowing our future generation to live in that beautiful environment going forward. It is truly that bridge between the present and the future. It is not this bridge, if you will. It is, a lot of corporations focus on the fundamental strengths of the companies, like the technology, like the profits, like the people itself, if you will, their skill set and others. Those are definitely the fundamental strengths of the corporations. But the other side of the coin is really the CSR practices, those very company actually practice. So it is really the two sides of the coins, the CSR or the sustainability practices and the fundamental strengths. The common thread between what companies practice, economics, and what they do not very well practice, ecology, the common thread or solving that issue between those two is really education. In all three of them, the word ecos comes from the basic term where we live, how we live, and how do we connect those two, basically. Ecology is where we live, economics is how we live there and how we conduct ourselves, and education is that conduit that actually connects those two worlds going forward. To do this, definitely there has to be a partnership. There is a partnership, I like to call it the partnership triangle. That partnership triangle has to definitely start with some sort of a government foundation which lays out the legal and governance framework in terms of how this thing is done. But in an election month, and especially with the nominations today, I don't think I'm going to go there in trying to talk about what the role of the government needs to be in this area. Education definitely plays a very important role going forward, and that is how to envision which world we're going to live in, how to prepare, and how to partner with various different partners in the industry or otherwise to lay out that framework by which we're going to prepare our future generations. And industry, if you will, the corporations, are obviously going to partner with someone, government included, but most likely education, and create and execute that world that we are going to all live in. So it is really, at the end, a lot of us talked about who are really our customers. At the end of it, whether it is the government, it is the education system, it is the corporations, the community, we all are our real true customers. And it is really that customer, that stakeholder that we have to serve best going forward. And it is this triangle and the partnership within this triangle that is going to be hugely important for all of us to concentrate on. Let me just kind of go back a little bit. Let's look at what the world looked like not too long ago. This is what the world forest situation looked like. This is what it is going to look like in 2020. Very soon, this is exactly what people are saying the world is beginning to look like already. This is a picture taken from the space. So again, this versus that. Obviously, we would all like to live in this world much more than this world. This is a picture of what our present planet looks like. Human beings are the most populous mammal on Earth, with 7+ million strong. We have our strengths, but we have our weaknesses. We have changed single-handedly. We have altered the course that this planet is on. By the sheer nature of the way we breathe, the way we walk, and the size, the magnitude of which we're represented on Earth right now, we are 1 out of 30,000 species, but we are 7 billion strong. And we have gone from knowing that water, energy, food, etc., are unlimited to potentially facing a catastrophe in one or possibly more of those necessities of life, the natural resources. We have seen the worker strikes in China, the poisonous milk incidents, the horse meat incidents, the LIBOR rate incidents, the Enron, and so on. We have seen the risk all around us, the environmental degradation, the crisis, poverty, forest degradations, and all those kinds of things. It is all happening because of the human, the way we conduct ourselves, the greed, the ethics issues, the insufficient and inefficient governance and other kinds of means that our government and our education system and our corporations have put in place. A study has been done in terms of what do customers really want. And let me just kind of say customers here can be defined as not only the customers for the corporations, but the customers for anyone that has any service to offer to anyone, education system included. I believe what the customers are asking us to do is first and foremost, do no harm. The do good is secondary in their minds. The customers are definitely very concerned about the harm that we are all doing to the society. A lot of corporations I can speak to are doing very well in this area. Right now, just in our backyard, Nestle, for example, is doing extremely well in the way they use the natural resources to produce palm oil. They are also working on how to not do harm to the society by putting whatever they put in their food and their milk and other kinds of things. Google is doing extremely well in the way they are basically going to this alternative sources of energy. They are, at one time it was well known for Google that their server farms were consuming so much energy that there was a river flowing through their server farm, and when the river came on the other side, the temperature was 5 degrees higher in the river. That's the extent of what they were generating, and since that time, they've gone to this alternative source of energy and basically resolving that issue. Walmart is doing something similar. They have established a sustainability index, and basically that is the requirement for all their suppliers in the supply chain in terms of the compliance model. Let me just talk to my employer, and it is not supposed to be a paid political announcement here, but just kind of just talk to it a little bit. We have decided to take a womb to tomb approach, a 360-degree approach, where it all starts with a corporate philosophy. And again, as we, the educators, think about it, I think this is really where our process must begin, which is educating our new generation with a philosophy of sustainability as opposed to a sustainability as an afterthought. We are working on lots of innovation. We are working on lots of areas where we reduce risk through reducing the consumption, the recycling, and the reuse. And we also obviously are looking at the supply chain going backwards, not just what we do in the industry. This is really how it started. This started 45, 50 years ago in Fuji Xerox with a single vision by the founder of Fuji Xerox, Tony Kobayashi, who basically said, companies exist to serve society and contribute to creating a better society. That was as simple as that, and that was the vision of our founder 45 to 50 years ago. That philosophy has continued in the eyes of our current president, who basically said sustainability is not something more than the basic management. CSR equals management itself. And that's how our journey began, and this is where we are on that journey. Basically, through that journey, what we have done is we have broken this sustainability concept down into the how-to of it, if you will. As any corporation, we have stakeholders, shareholders, as well as the customers are our key stakeholders. And for them, we want to be a strong company. And we have come up with this concept of strong, kind, and interesting. For our environment and our society, we want to be a kind company. And for our employees and our clients, we want to be an interesting company. And through this concept of strong, kind, and interesting, we are on a journey to solving or addressing this sustainability issue. What we have also done is we have taken the sustainability concept to heart, where actually no product in Fuji Xerox starts And again, this is one of the things that you can possibly consider taking back to the engineering schools in your education system. In our company, no product actually starts without a mandate that the follow-on product that, or the product that is a follow-on to something else actually must consume exponentially less energy, or else that product will not be approved. It must be fully recyclable. Currently, our products actually are, the products that we sell, we collect it back from the customers, and we recycle or reuse 99.8% of those products. 99.8% of everything we sell that we can collect, we actually recycle and reuse. Only 0.2% of the products that we sell goes into the landfills in the form of ashes. And that's the kind of a mandate that has started with Tony Kobayashi and Chu Yamamoto essentially describing a philosophy which got incorporated into our design philosophy. Then we worked with the suppliers, and essentially we said, you as the suppliers must conform to these kinds of standards. Rather than taking the approach of telling the suppliers, either you conform or we don't do business with you, we actually decided to work another approach. We told the suppliers that if you do not conform, we will work with you and we will train you how to conform. And we have taken our supplier base from 34% compliant to 90% compliant at this time. That is the type of a philosophy, that's the type of an education system, that's the type of a system overall that we have created. Employees, we work with them on educating our employees in the factories. There are child care centers and all those kinds of things. We work with the customers in their location, basically in convincing them and actually working with them that energy consumption is hugely important. Most of our products are actually, they don't turn on until you walk up to those products. And as soon as you walk up to those products to use them, they turn on. And it is that type of an environment that we have created. And again, I talked about the recycle and reuse of the product. And so overall, this is the overall philosophy and the principle by which we have deployed this within the corporation. So what can the education system and the educators do in this thing? Basically, the role of education in sustainability, as best as I can describe it, is the following. As we discussed, the leaders today are faced with complex and very, very serious problems going forward. For the leaders to excel at delivering greater shareholder value, whoever the shareholders are, whether you're a corporation or otherwise, they will need the vision, knowledge, skills, capacity, and motivation to tackle not only the economic issues, but ecological, which is ethical, social, and environmental challenges. The scope and reach of our education demands that we understand how we are developing the concept of social, ethical, and environmental stewardship with our new leaders. This is the role of education. The possible steps that the educators can think about using in the education system are first and foremost to help our future generation visualize the world they live in and not become just simply watchers. They need to be the visionaries of that world that they want to live in. And rather than being compliant and competent in terms of what needs to be done in the hard skills area, they need to have the soft skills to visualize that. Secondly, we need to integrate in the coursework, whether it's in the engineering coursework, philosophy, business, education, and others, we need to integrate the concept that has been talked about earlier about critical thinking, problem solving, collaborative tools, the flexibility, and all those kinds of things. And essentially, this needs to become a part of the coursework, and sustainability needs to be fully integrated into that. We need to perform research. Research is an integral part of it. You need to help corporations, the government, through research to understand what the impact of sustainability is and how to solve that. Fuji Xerox has worked very closely with the Japanese universities in conducting research in terms of how to reuse the materials and how not to damage the future products going forward through the reuse of that materials. It is actually that 99.8% fact came about not only because of our doing, but because of what the research institutes in Japan actually helped us do. Education system can help by partnering with the corporations, creating internships, and essentially doing business with or sending the graduates to companies that are more sustainable and compliant. They need to walk the talk. Just one quick comment and I'll end at this. They need to walk the talk. When this whole push started several years ago, the harsh reality was that while Tokyo University was teaching sustainability, they were in fact the biggest emitters of CO2 in Japan, in Tokyo. And it was not that they weren't teaching it and they didn't recognize it, but when the issue of reporting came about and they started drilling down and trying to understand what it is all about, they understood how severe of an impact they were having on the society and the environment. So with that thought, I just want to say reporting is very important, and you, the educators and education system, need to look at reporting as well. So I want to end at this thing by saying sustainability is ongoing. It is basically learning by doing, and it is engaging all the stakeholders early in the phase in taking on the challenge. And there's no better platform, in my opinion, than the education system to do that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta. We have maybe time for just 2 questions. Yeah,
Thank you for that really interesting talk. Sustainability and green issues are something that's very close to my heart. And I'm not really sure if these are questions, but really 2 points that I think I'd like to make, and maybe speak to you afterwards about them, if that's possible. I know we haven't got that much time here. So I fully agree with what you were saying about the important role of the education sector in increasing sustainability in general. But one point that I wanted to make was that if we go back to nearer the start of the slide, your talk, sorry, a lot of the issues that are threatening ecology, such as illegal trade in ozone-depleting substances, logging, etc., pollution, a lot of these actually include a large element of illegal activity. And so I just wanted to make the general point that people often talk about sustainability and then talk about maybe cross-disciplinary action with engineers, etc. I would very much like to see that extended to include criminologists as well, and also economists, because they need to come in to talk about the true cost of all these effects, and cost-benefit analysis obviously comes in, etc., etc. And the other point that I wanted to make was that you said that establishing sustainability within a younger generation was very important, and I absolutely agree with that. But I also think there's something that we can do more immediately as well with the research side of things, which is to give the people who do want to buy from the do no harm firms, to give them a voice so that that consumer demand is more obvious to the companies, etc. Because once you start that cycle going, then sustainability becomes a competitive issue. Therefore, firms will be innovative and their standards will go up and up and up. Whereas if we rely on legislation and standards, then people just tend to design down and sort of get away with the minimum, if you like. That's it. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much for those comments. I do want to add, since there was no question in that, I do want to say that as you partner with the government, for example, I really strongly believe there may be an opportunity for you to propose that there be a tax, not only on the profits, but tax on the impact to society, the impact to the ecology, the environment. Companies who do harm to the environment, and at the same time they only pay profits, tax on profits, that may not be an appropriate system. Though there needs to be a tax on impact on sustainability drivers. And that's why lots of the companies are beginning to form the sustainability index, and that's where the role of the education and the government and all that comes in. Thank you very much.
I know there are still a couple of people who want to ask questions, but I'm looking in Dr. Goh's direction and he's already staring daggers at me. So before anyone arrives here, thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause again to Dr. Gupta.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta and Dr. Lewis.